Hello. Today we're going to be continuing to graph quadratics that are written in standard form, but we are also going to talk about some other characteristics of those graphs. The things we're going to look at in addition to the graph are the axis of symmetry, the vertex, which we've seen before. Axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of the middle point of your graph. Vertex is the whole ordered pair of the middle point of your graph. But we're also going to add on opening today, which way the graph opens, solutions, whether it has a min or max, and what that min or max value is. So first thing, direction of opening. Quadratic graphs, as you've seen so far, can open one of two ways. They could open up, which is it looks like a U facing the right way, or they can open down, which looks like a U, like an upside down U, an upside down parabola. Solutions are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So for those, we're going to list just the x-coordinates of those points. And then related to its direction of opening is mins and maxes. If your graph opens up, your vertex is the lowest point on your graph. So we say that it has a minimum. If your graph opens down, the vertex is the highest point on your graph. So we say that it has a maximum. And then the minimum or maximum value, depending on which one you have, is just the y-coordinate of your vertex. So you could graph these by hand, but you can also use Desmos. I'm going to show you how to use Desmos to graph these today. In general, when you're graphing something in Desmos, you just type in the equation exactly the way you see it. So we're going to try that with this first equation. Y equals negative x squared. Just type things in backwards. Negative x. To get that exponent 2, you have a squared button right here. Hit that, and it'll give you the exponent 2. Minus 2x plus 3. It'll move around a little bit while you're typing, but once you're done typing, the graph will stop moving. And Desmos will highlight some important gray points for us. So if you click on those gray points, Desmos is kind enough to tell us what the coordinates of those points are. So let's take things one thing at a time. Axis of symmetry we know is the middle point x-coordinate, or the vertex's x-coordinate. So my vertex is the very middle point of my graph. If I click on that, Desmos gives me the coordinates. The axis of symmetry is just the x-coordinate of that point, which is -1. So axis of symmetry is -1. Vertex is the entire ordered pair for the middle point. So -1, 4. Looking at our graph, it opens down. We can see that it's an upside down U shape or upside down parabola. So we just say it opens down. Solutions are where the graph crosses the x-axis being this axis right here. We can see it crosses the x-axis twice, once here and once here. For both of those solutions, we're going to list just the x-coordinates of that point. So our first solution is at x equals -3. Our second solution is at x equals 1. You can either have 2 solutions, no solution, or 1 solution. Does the graph have a minimum or maximum? Well, since our graph opens down, we have a maximum value. And that max value is just the y-coordinate of the vertex, which is 4. So we say y equals 4. And that is it. So use Desmos to make the graph and also define the important things. What you need to be able to do, though, is make sure you can tell which important point goes with which information here. Let's try one more. So if we want to get rid of this graph in Desmos, I can hit this gray X. It'll delete the whole thing, which will be helpful because then otherwise it gets confusing looking. Let's type in our next equation. Y equals x. To get that squared, you hit the square button, plus 4x plus 5. There's our graph. If you want to move things around, zoom in or zoom out, same as usual, you can do that. And then let's find everything we need. Axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of that middle point of the graph. So the middle point of my graph is -2, 1. The x-coordinate of that point is just -2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals -2. Vertex is that whole ordered pair. So -2, 1. Our graph is pointing up this time. So we say our graph opens up. Solutions. Notice that this graph never, ever, ever crosses the x-axis. So sometimes that happens. Instead of writing x equals something here, we just write the word none. There are no solutions because our graph never will cross that x-axis. Does it have a min or a max? Looking back up here real quick, since our graph opens up, we have a min. And then that minimum value is the same as the y-coordinate of your vertex. Y-coordinate of our vertex was 1, so our minimum value is y equals 1. Notice this other point here is highlighted. That's a y-intercept, which we care about for linear equations, but for quadratics, we usually don't get too concerned with those. So we're going to ignore y-intercepts for now. That is it for today for graphing with Desmos and finding key characteristics of your graph. Have a fantastic day.